red, orange. Bet. So, yeah, so whenever you put lightener on hair, you erase and decolorize and kick out the existing dominant pigment. So what has to happen when your guest comes in and they want to go back darker, so say somebody comes in and they've got this level 7 and they want to be a level 4, you have to put the colors that were previously removed back in. So this is only for pre-lightened hair, so not a natural blonde. You don't ever have to repigment somebody who's naturally a blonde and they want to go dark. You can just put color on like a natural blonde and it'll hold. But if you don't repigment somebody who's been previously lightened while you're like during this process, you're going to color their hair. It's going to look great for 2 washes, and then all of a sudden it's going to start washing back out. So have any of you guys ever tried to cover up your highlights? So you just go all over one color and you just pop color on there, try to cover up your highlights, and then a couple weeks later all of a sudden your highlights are back? It's because you didn't repigment.
So if I go back brown with my hair, I'd have to repigment mine.
Yes, ma'am, you absolutely would.
Gotcha.
Now, you only have to repigment when you're moving more than 2 levels. So in any given tube of color, you've got like 1 level, so lightness and darkness, so 1 level of wiggle room in there.
Yeah.
So if you're only going 2 levels down, you're fine. Like if you're just jumping from, let's say you're going from a 7 to a 5, you can just put a level 5, pull a level 5 tube of color, and you're going to be no big deal. But if you're going from like an 8 to a 4, you got to go back in and you're going to have to add, because the hair no longer has orange, red, orange, red. So you have to add those 3 pigments back in. Other companies use like color fillers that you can just add to a formula. And those work, but not as permanently as using a repigmentation step. So this makes the hair color like a single process. It turns it into almost a double process. So it's gonna like give you, like, you're gonna have 2 steps, I guess. So one of the cool things, where's it at? One of the cool things that Paul Mitchell did is they came in and created repigmentation formulas. So what that means is they've already done like the work for you. You don't have to guess and check. Like you're looking at somebody's hair and they're a level 9 and they want to be a level 5, right? So you're looking at it going, okay, I know I have to add in red, orange, orange, and well, red, orange, and yellow, orange, right? So then what happens is like you have to guess and check with other product companies. Paul Mitchell did something super cool, and they came in here and they said, okay, look, if your target level's a 5, you need to use 3/4 of an ounce of 6C and 3.75 inches of 5R. And so what that means is you're going to put that formula on the hair before you apply color. So either, and almost always you're going to be adding in warm colors, because like we talked about yesterday, hair never will it doesn't lift up the cool side. So whenever you're depositing or repigmenting hair, you're always going to be adding in something warm. But if your guest does not want a warm end result, it's recommended that you rinse off your repigmentation formula. So here's what your service would look like. Your guest would come in, they would sit down in the chair, and they would say, oh my God, I don't want to be blonde anymore. I hate it, I'm over it, blah, 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 whatever. I want to go back to my natural color, my natural cool brown, whatever. So then you're going to go, okay, so we're going to have to do a 2-step process first. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to apply your repigmentation formula, and then if they don't want, so they want to be neutral, they want to be natural, then after you apply your repigmentation formula, it's going to sit for about 10 minutes. You're going to go rinse it off. You're going to thoroughly towel dry the hair. No, not blow dry it and get it like super smooth and dry. No products, obviously. So you literally just rinse, no shampoo, towel dry. Then you're going to go back in and you're going to apply whatever your target formula is. So if they wanted to be a level 4 and they wanted to be natural, I might choose a level 4 in as my target formula. But before that, I have to use the repigmentation formula, handy dandy, provided over here, for that target level 4. So I would be putting that 6C, that 5R. So the C is copper, which is an orange tonal base. So that gives me the orange and the red. Then I've got to put back in the hair to get back down there. With 5 volume cream developer, I apply that formula first. Then I take her to the wash house, rinse her off, no shampoo, towel dry, and then I'm going to apply that 4 in with my 20 volume developer for that permanent end result. Now, this helps to prevent like that color fade. And depending on the integrity of the hair, whether their hair is fine, medium, or coarse, how damaged did it get in the blonding process? This does help it stick better, but it's not guaranteed, right? So there's no guarantee that depending on the integrity of the hair, that the color is actually going to stick and stay. So,
Okay, Teresa, I'm going to jump in because this is what I'm going to do to my hair. I'm going to go back to my natural color. So my hair is kind of fine and thin. So, I mean, you think it would stay on my hair?
I think that depending on how many levels, because Kim, you're like a level 9, 10.
Yeah.
And which level is your target? Like how dark is your natural?
I want to go down to a 4.
You want to go down to a 4?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you would have to repigment, but I mean, I also know how many times you've lightened it to get to that 9, 10. You know, honestly, I would probably like, okay, salon reality. Now I get like we're talking about, this is what in the school world, this is a provided information. This is what you have to do in order to get color to stick. But permanent color molecules are teeny tiny, which means they go in easy, but they also fall out easy. I think, and this is just a salon trick, using a demi-permanent color to repigment and then putting a permanent color on top of it might be a better option for you.
Yeah.
I think I would probably do like a PM shine, and I would take you red first. I'd literally put like a 6R PM shine on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I would do probably a 4 in, and then maybe a twist of a 6 MT. So what I'm talking about is, wait, where's it at? Oh, hang on. If I can get to it. That's page 2. Oh, there it is. Okay. So in here, Kim's talking about going from a level like 9, 10 down here to a 4. A level 4 has a dominant pigment of red violet. So I would put back in some red first, but then if she doesn't want to be warm, I would add some green to it.
Why would you add the green?
Why would I add the green? To cancel out all the red. So we want to neutralize it, but it still has to be in there. But we want to like add enough of the complementary color to get it neutral. Now the other thing that you got to watch out for in hair that's been, you know, compromised like that is it can pull really dark. So I think I would use like a 4 in and a 6 MT, which the MTs aren't on this swatch chart, are they? No. But they're the green matte tonal base. But they were launched after the newest swatch chart. Fun times. But yeah, so I would do a 4 and a 6, but I would only use like a twist of the green, because green can be super, super powerful, and
Yeah.
you don't want to look like muddy. You still want that like
Yeah.
healthy, natural color hair, but not red. Because if you just put a 4 in on it by itself, it would end up like red brown.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So here's another fun thing that you can do, like just kind of to give you one more like visual. As far as dominant pigments go, they're super important. So the dominant pigment at level 1 is blue. And you can make notes like this. So blue, then you've got blue violet, and then you've got violet is the dominant pigment at level 3, red violet at level 4, red. So understanding that no matter whether the swatch chart says it's like the ends natural, right? There's always going to be that dominant pigment underlying in that canvas.
Cool.
Yeah. So then we have red, orange. Sorry, my handwriting on an iPad is real sloppy. My bad, y'all.
It's good.
Orange, orange, yellow, orange. Then we have yellow, and then pale yellow. So whether we choose like somebody wants to be like a super ashy, you know, like I want to be real, real ashy. Okay, so I look at like, okay, they want to be a level 6. Dominant pigment at level 6 is red orange. So that means I have to have something that's the opposite of red orange on the color wheel in order to cancel that out. So opposite of red orange is
It's blue green.
violet, blue violet.
Yeah, blue violet.
Yeah. So I've got to find a tonal base in the blue violet triangle there and formulate at level 6. So up, there we go. So I'm looking something in the PN range. So if I've got a level 6 PN, that would be what I would choose to cancel out the underlying dominant pigment that I don't want to see. But as far as repigmentation goes, if you've got a guest that comes in and they're at level 10, pale yellow, and they want to be a natural level 4, all of these dominant pigments over here have to be added back in. Otherwise, the color won't stay. And really, repigmentation is just as simple as that.
We'll see when we get back to school.
Are you going to do it at home or are you going to do it at school?
School.
Smart. Yeah, but I mean, so you have any option because the color wheel is the color wheel. No matter whether, I mean, it doesn't matter what color line you choose. The color wheel is just, it's a law. It's a basic fact. So whether you choose to use like what size dye molecule basically is dependent on the integrity of someone's hair. So if you've got a guest that comes in and their hair is super, super healthy, they went lighter, didn't like it, want to go darker, and you chose to use a demi-permanent color with the larger dye molecules, it may not work because there's not enough damage there for those big dye molecules to be like pushed in. And then if you've got somebody whose hair is severely, severely compromised, you may not be able to get color to stick to it, no matter whether you repigment or not.
So damaged hair has pros and cons to it when you color it or do repigmentation to it.
Oh, absolutely. Certainly. And okay. I mean, like whenever you want to wear one of the fantasy colors, say like I want to be hot pink or magenta or neon green or blue or whatever. So colors that don't naturally exist in hair, you have to pre-lighten and you have to rough up the cuticle in order to get those colors to be vibrant and, you know, for those the giant color molecules to stick and stay. But those are also not colors that are built to last more than about a week, 2, maybe 3. And whenever you start finding yourself going, okay, well, I want this neon blue and I want it to be like permanent, the only option is color that's super terrible for hair. But it's one of those, like, this is the trade you make. It's just like when somebody wants to be a blonde, like you've got to know that this is going to be different maintenance than your natural color. This is going to be, you're going to need moisturizing, you're going to need toning, you're going to need more protein put back, and you're going to do a little bit more work for it. But if you're willing to do the work and the maintenance in order to maintain your blonde, all totally great, you know. But yeah, so let's see. So Paul Mitchell The Color and Paul Mitchell XG both have repigmentation formulas. There is also Colorcraft that can be used for repigmentation. It's a really large, it's almost like a stain.
I'm sorry, Paul Mitchell The Color and what else?
Color XG. So I'm showing you the XG swatch chart. But then there's Paul Mitchell The Color. So we have the 2 different permanent lines, but they both offer repigmentation formulas. And then there's also Colorcraft. So Colorcraft is a customizable colored conditioner that you can mix for your guests to keep their color fresh at home in between services. They pulled them out of the schools, but they do work. They're actually pretty cool. But we don't use them at the school just because they wanted to promote the guests to follow future professionals whenever they left the school. Like, when you guys graduate, we want you to take your clients with you. And they felt like Colorcraft was not promoting that practice. So, but really just the repigmentation thing is all about knowing the color wheel and recognizing, you know, where your guest is. Another handy dandy thing over here is the pigment chart. So it tells you just the same thing that I wrote down by the swatch chart. The thing that you have to watch out with on the swatches.
Sorry.
So no, you're fine. If you've got a guest sitting in your chair and you bring them over this book that's got all these great little plastic strands of what it might look like if this was the color. Okay. The only thing that those don't do is they don't take dominant pigment into consideration. All of those color swatches that, you know, you look at, and you guys have all been to a beauty supply and you've looked at the little loops of the, you know, synthetic hair clipped to the edge of the shelf, you know, those are all white plastic hair. And then they're trying to give you an idea of what this color formula would turn into, but they don't take dominant pigment, like the underlying pigment and the canvas, into consideration. So when you show your guests one of those little swatch books, or even if they're looking at a chart like this, you know, and somebody goes, ooh, I love this. 6RB is my color. I want it. We have to also remember they're not taking into consideration that red orange is the dominant pigment at level 6. Right. So we have to formulate against that, because whenever you put red orange and red violet together, you're going to come out with more of a true like red tone unless you add more violet to it. So just kind of so y'all know, slippery slope, I guess. All right, so questions about repigmentation. When should we use repigmenting?
When the color starts to fade. Oh, there you go.
When you want to go darker, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody's previously blonde, they've had their hair lifted, and then they decide they want to go back dark.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, do you guys have any other questions about repigmenting? It's one of those things you don't really use very often, and you're only going to use it on somebody who is like permanently going to go back dark. This is not for your guests that in, you know, spring break hits and they're like, I'm ready for my highlights. And in summer they come in and they're like, okay, I need more blonde. And then in September they're like, okay, I'm ready to go maroon. And then in, you know, like the guest that goes dark and light throughout the seasons, don't repigment them. Use demi-permanent color on them to cover up those highlights so they're not as hard to uncover later. Like if you know they're gonna go like through that like seasonal shift, I guess, that would be, I would use demi-permanent. I would use PM Shines with the demi, and I would go take a maroon in September, like see you in 6 weeks, we'll go maroon again. That's fall leaves. Okay, good job. And then whenever they come in at, you know, between Christmas and New Year, and they're like, I want money pieces. Then you're like, okay, so now I have to apply lightener, but I know the hair underneath is pre-lightened. So all I'm doing is pulling just that little bit of demi-permanent color off, and I'm not damaging the hair as much.
Teresa, I feel attacked right now because this is so me every time I go to the salon.
Ain't nothing
Same
wrong
here.
with that. No way. There's nothing wrong with that. That's bread and butter, right? I mean, you're a guest that me as a hairdresser, I can count on. I know when I'm going to see you. I know when you're coming. Like you're going to come in between Thanksgiving and Christmas somewhere, and there's going to be, I need a refresh and a new look, and I'm going to look great for my casseroles for my family. And then, you know, like New Year's Eve, and then here comes spring break, and spring break is a partial highlight. And then like Memorial weekend, it's time, we're ready to go blonde. I want to do more like balayage. I want a little bit more on my face. And then like end of summer, here comes fall. Like I'm talking mid-September, early October, somewhere in there. It's like, okay, so now I need to go darker. I'm going to look gray. Maybe some like wine tones. Those are the best guests in the world, because like I know I can count on you. And if I can keep the integrity of your hair, even better, that makes me a better hairdresser, right? It's like to save you some damage going, okay, well, we're going to do a demi-permanent color that's got, you know, vegetable and soy protein. So it actually is a great like 6-week deep conditioner that's sitting here. And then whenever you're ready to go blonde again, I don't have to use like a high volume of developer or really aggressive lightener. All I have to do is know your hair, right? So. But yeah, I wouldn't repigment UB.
Teresa, I have a question, and
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry if you may have answered it. I just got back in the call a few minutes ago, but I know, and Rachel and I were talking, one of my answers to like, what do you want more clarification on, was repigmentation. And like what I see in my head is if someone is platinum and like how you said they do want to go and stay, let's say a level 2 or 3 or even a 1, I don't understand the concept 100% of adding each level of those pigments so that it doesn't turn into that muddy version of that level 1, 2, or 3. So I don't know if it's something that you just concoct as one whole thing, or if you have to take them and do their hair, you know, one level at a time with multiple services. So I guess I don't visually see that in my head.
Right on. Usually if somebody is platinum and they want to go black, they're gonna have to sit around at like pumpkin for a minute. But in less extreme cases, so if somebody is a level 8, 9 blonde and then they want to go to a level 3, 4 brown, right? So like a dark chocolate, whatever you want to call it. Then you really only have to like, you jump, let's see, you add the dominant pigment that is 2 levels above your target. So if your target level is a 3, then you have to add the dominant pigment from level 5. So you don't have to go all like stair steps all the way down, because in that tube of level 5, you also have a little bit of level 6 and a little bit of level 4 that's in there kind of as like squishy backup for you. So all you would be doing is putting red in. And then if you didn't want it to be like super warm and red brown, you would need to rinse that and then put your level 3 in, or 3 chocolate or 3 whatever formula you decided on over it. If you did want to be warm, once you apply that repigment formula, let it sit for 10 minutes, you can just go ahead and put your other formula right on top.
Now when you say rinse, like for repigmenting, then would you go in with something that's not permanent color, or are you gonna do like a permanent over a permanent? Like,
it depends on the integrity of the hair. Depends on the integrity. So if that hair is pretty healthy and the cuticle's closed, if you can like slide your finger down the hair and you're not feeling like lumps and bumps and it doesn't feel like there's potholes in it, Yeah, you can absolutely do, because repigmentation formulas always use 5 volume developer.
Okay.
But if you've got somebody whose hair has been compromised, maybe they have fine hair and they've lifted it, and so that cuticle is a little like crunchy whenever you run your finger down it, I might choose to use a demi-permanent color because it's got a larger dye molecule, and it almost is like, you know how they put the tar in the potholes on the roads?
Mm-hmm.
Like they put that asphalt gravelly stuff in there. You know, it works for a little while until they can get over it and pave it with something that's, you know, better.
Okay.
So that's what the demi-permanents will do. It kind of fills in the potholes until you can put that permanent color over it. But I mean, that's a one day, one step process.
So, and then you said always do the dominant pigment 2 levels above what the desired. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense. I was question like, okay, hold on. Are we going through each level or like?
No, that's too much work. We ain't doing all that. Mm-mm. Nope,
Okay.
nope. But
And
one
then
of the cool things is on the swatch chart. So on the swatch chart, Paul Mitchell has provided repigmentation formulas for every target level.
Okay.
But if you're, you know, out in the world and you don't have a handy dandy swatch chart, then yes, that's what you're looking at, is the dominant pigment 2 levels above your target.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. Other companies use color fillers. So there's like little powder packets that you put into your color formula and mix in. And it's supposed to be like a repigment and deposit color at the same time, one process, one application. I'm a hairdresser and I got to move because it's, you know, fast time, you know, they can work, but you don't have the customizability that you have with a 2-step process.
Okay.
So, yeah. Now, I'm not gonna lie, have there been times whenever I have grabbed a level 4 in and thrown a squirt of red intensifier into it and went, hope for the best. And has it worked? Sort of. Yeah, totally. Have done that. But it was in an instance where I did not have the time set out to do a 2-step process in the booking. You know what I mean? So it was one of those, like, I'm going to try and give you what you want, but I didn't realize this was going to be color correction, which technically repigmentation is absolutely a color correction service.
Yeah.
So, but it was one of those, okay, well, let me try and give you what I can do in the time, you know, in the hour that I've got set out for you. So
then with that, I mean, we 100% then can charge someone a color correction price to kind of upsell ourselves when we do repigmentation.
You know, it really does depend, because it's not color correction in a sense that I have to do a ton more work. I'm doing 2 single process applications. And by the time you guys graduate from school, you should be able to do a single process application using 1/4-inch sections on shoulder length hair in about 15 minutes, 15 minutes or less by the time you're like getting going. So, I mean, it tacks on 15 minutes to your service, maybe 20 max. You could, I mean, almost if you were going to charge it as color correction, it would be almost like a low level instead of like a medium or a high level. Because
Right.
when you've got somebody that comes in and they've got bleeders all over where they had bad highlights done, and you're having to go in and hunt and peck and pick and find little spots of where color was, you know, messed up, that's a totally different, because that's color correction you charge by the hour. And usually that starts around $75 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that I would charge 75 plus for just doing a repigment, something that's going to tack on an extra 15, maybe 20 minutes. I would, I would charge more, certainly, because I'm using more product. It is taking a longer time.
Just not like a traditional, like a legit color.
Yeah, but it is corrective color. Anytime somebody comes in and has previous color and wants a different color, technically it's corrective.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Well, Teresa, how hard is it to, like, if you did the repigmentation and then you wanted to go back blonde afterwards, like, is it like start the whole process over again, or can you do a color corrector over it?
You could, well, color removers, so like there's color removers on the market. What they do is they go in, they smell like rotten eggs, first of all. And what they do is they go into the hair and they find artificial pigment that has been expanded through the oxidation process, and it shrinks them. And then whenever they're shrunk, so they have to sit there for, usually they're between 30 and 50 minutes, I would say is the minimum on those. And then you have to take your guest to the wash house with this color remover on their hair. All these little dye molecules that it could grab have been shrunk back down because they were oxidized before, so now they're shrunk. And then you have to rinse up the cuticle. So you know how cuticle lays like shingles on a roof and it opens up? You have to rinse your water pushing up the cuticle in order to literally rinse the shrunken dye molecules out. As soon as you apply the neutralizer, everything that got shrunk from the color remover expands back out. So if you missed some, which you can't tell, there's no real way to know. Now, color removers work great first 48 hours. They're good for the guest that comes in and they were just at another salon. They're no less damaging than lightener. And if you're looking at it going, okay, well, let's try a color remover first, and then if that doesn't get it, then we'll grab the bleach, just put the color remover down, go get your lightener, and watch the predictable levels of lift.
That's what I was gonna ask, because I was kind of curious. Would I, because I have, before I put the red in, I did bleach my hair.
Mhm.
So I was thinking, oh, okay, so since I put bleach over my hair, then the red is a lot more able to, like, I guess you can strip out if I was to put like a color remover. Or would I just go ahead and just bleach it, or just put lightener over it?
I mean, I would like,
because this is how it looks.
Yeah, you can pull that out with a little bit of lightener. You'll end up like peach. You'll end up like pale red. But yeah, I wouldn't use a color remover just because your hair's pre-lightened already. And so then it's like, it's already been lightened once, and then we go back in and we use this color remover, and that's a guess and check. Like, I could rinse it all out or I could not, depending on, if it got it all. And then I might have to bleach it again. So I would probably just use a really low volume of developer. You might even mix it like with like some shampoo, and apply lightener and developer and shampoo together almost as like a color balance, just because it's not a whole lot of colors left.
Right.
So
because it was like a bright, like Jessica Rabbit red.
Yeah.
And so for it to come that color, it's just, I didn't want to put, I guess seeing the video yesterday kind of like, okay, gave me some pointers. Don't lift color with color because it's not going to do it.
Nope.
And that's what was a bad habit of I was doing, was putting box color, or okay, well, if it fades, I'll just put another box color. I'll just put it in. I noticed that when I would bleach it, I had these big old spots. So I actually did it right, and I was like, okay, so this is how exactly you're supposed to go. I just didn't want to put extra product into my hair that wasn't necessarily needed.
Right. Well, and I mean, after you've repigmented, so if you decide, okay, like we're going darker, and then they come back in, 6 months later, there's definitely going to be some fade already. And they want to go lighter again, I would totally use lightener. I would do a test strand first. I would, take a slice and paint it with, lightener and developer, and like watch and see what it does, because some of it may lift very quickly. Some of it may lift much more slowly. The stuff, you know what I mean? Like you might have a band of dark at your mid shaft, and you have like high lift, like going on at the new growth, and then at the ends where that old lightener was 6 months ago, you may have different formulas for different like links on the hair.
Yeah.
So
okay,
I would do a test strand and then plan from there. Now at that point, I would charge probably corrective color if there's like strands, like you got the raccoon stripe thing going, where you're like light, dark, light, dark.
So it's like light right here, and then it's peachy, then pink, then red, then blonde, peachy, pink, red.
I mean, it's pretty. You remind me of sherbet. All right. So are there any other questions about repigmentation and how that works? Well, where's Miss Rachel?
Hi.
Hey. Cool. All right. So I hope you guys learned a thing about repigmenting hair.
I recorded this too.
Oh, perfect.
It makes more sense, but I feel like I actually have to do it to actually learn it.
Yeah, well,
Same.
yeah. I feel you.
Thank you, Teresa.
You're very, very welcome. All right. Hope you guys took good notes. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
Bye, thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.